Hello everybody, and welcome to another video where we're going to be talking about the best free Pokemon per role in the current meta. Now, of course, you're probably all thinking, where the hell have I been? It's been a bloody long time, and I completely understand, I probably let some of you down. I really am sorry about that. So, to, I guess, compensate, I'm going to make another video about talking about, like, what happened, but TLDR, I'm picked up by an org now. We're playing for Antic Esports in the UCS season for OC. I did actually qualify for the AOS Cup at EUIC in London, and I'm going to be making a lot of content there, so stay tuned for that. You're going to get a good understanding of the highest level Pokemon Unite because I will be playing in the tournament, and it will be so cool. It's so fun to be not longer a spectator. I'm playing in the very best league, probably in the world, and it's going to be so fun and exciting to watch. So, of course, I hope you all can live through my journey there, and, we all get better together. So, let's talk about the best free Pokemon per role in the current patch. We're going to have to include the X's. I have a video coming on about this, but I don't know why they allow these Pokemon. But they do, and whatever. Now, if you may or may not know that there's a 1400 cap where you begin playing draft mode. We're going to talk a little bit about that throughout all this, like, how it influences some picks. But for now, let's just keep that in mind. Draft mode, and it matters a bit. You're not going to get in a lot of games. And when you do get it, a lot of these Pokemon are still going to be on the table, still going to be really strong. You're going to have an alternative. So, to get no further ado, do not waste a second longer. If you haven't subbed to the channel, we're going to be pumping out more content. Hopefully, I can win the March Cup as well. But hey, look, it is what it is. We play the game. We have some fun. Let's make some YouTube videos. And of course, sub to the channel. Follow everything. Post, comment, get engaged because we're going to get this ball rolling again. All right, so let's think about top lane. This is actually the role I'm playing right now. So I think if you guys remember correctly, I've been talking a lot about top lane, like making guides and whatnot. And then I ended up playing this role. I actually think that this role is probably the most closed one in the game. It has a lot of options, but realistically, out of those options, there's going to be a few kings of the meta. So, to just talk about top lane, I've been saying the word Buzzwole. We're actually not going to talk too much about Buzzwole, even though I think it is probably the strongest Pokemon. But if we're talking about EX Pokemon, it has to be Mewtwo X. Like, when we add Mewtwo X to the mix, this is definitely the strongest top Pokemon. The ability to just dive a carry and then just play this selfish gameplay where you're pretty much undiveable by yourself. Like you just run teleport with the side strike, or you can run recover with the pull. There's a lot of different variability with the Mewtwo, and it is so easy. It is so strong. You're going to have like a base level of success. Now, I hate talking about EXs, so I'm going to add other Pokemon in here, of course. But yeah, Mewtwo X probably takes the cake for the best top laner in the game if it was to be in a solo lane. It has a decent secure level 1. It scales really well. As we talk about, a global Unite move has a lot of presence in the game. I'm going to draw some maps. Okay, so we just get here. This is barely loading. I can't show you Mewtwo because the developers of this site haven't added it in. And God bless their souls because it doesn't deserve to be added in. But let's just grab Mew. We'll just draw this and it's Mewtwo X, okay? So it's pretty obvious what you want to do is the Mewtwo X. You want to go and clear the first farm of the lane, and then you want to go get some scores. If they have too many people here, like the 2+, ignore that. We got to chill on that, and then we got to go farm our side, because the most important farm in the lane are these Bunnelbees. These Bunnelbees have all the experience. You may need to make sure to take them. That's pretty much my Mewtwo X guide. As in, the most simplest thing. If you don't screw up the lane, it's just about holding the A button, go into the right targets, think about how you're playing the game. You're going to win a lot of games in Mewtwo X. It is incredibly broken. All right, okay. So now that we got the Mewtwo X, the yucky EX Pokemon out of the way, what is a Pokemon that you're going to probably play a lot? Okay, yes, finally, bring out the B word, Buzzwole. It's here. Buzzwole, absolutely dynamic powerhouse in the meta right now. The ability to shut down these EX ones. Like we're talking about, Zacian has a bad matchup into the Buzzwole. Metagross has a bad matchup into the Buzzwole. Miraidon, you can kill Miraidons as the Buzzwole. You can kill Mewtwo's as the Buzzwole. It is a bit more difficult to deal with some of the other attackers in the meta. Not necessarily Miraidon and Mewtwo Y, but some of the other ones, and we can talk about that in a bit. But that's not necessarily your job. Your job is to clear the way for your overpowered attackers to clear them out. And when you look at Buzzwole, it does everything you want. Superpower to just grab and push them around. Smackdown to change the positioning of the fight. Also to give you a little bit of breathing room. You can very quickly turn a fight using Smackdown to actually refresh your cooldowns. So, talking about Buzzwole as a mechanical character, it's pretty simple. Grab the person, punch them, grab them again. If you failed that one, you can always just punch them, grab them, and move them back into your team. If you want to go more advanced, you have the punch, the backwards punch, the Smackdown. So you smack down in one direction. Let's just say we're doing this way and we eject it this way. And that means that your smackdown will go this way and send them back that way. I know, super confusing, but it is one of the best techniques in the game. You definitely have to use it. You have to see it in action to understand. And actually, if you look at the highlight clip, that's what I do to the Glaceon, 100 to 0, boom, boom, unexpected. And that's a pro player. So like, at that point, you got to say, like, you know, who else is going to fall for this trick? It is an expertise of the Buzzwole, and it's something you should learn if you want to continue playing it. Let's go in with the lane flays. Okay, let's just look at the Bunnel Bees, and let's grab Buzzwole. So, Buzzwole's plan is you're aggressive laner. You always want to watch out for this early gank. You know, you should be mindful 920, and even like if you're playing in competitive, 925 because of the early roam from the Hoopa, or like Eldegoss with the red buff and stuff. This even goes to 35. I would always be a bit cautious about those timers. They can be pretty bad for you. But the main thing you want to do is you want to be able to stack. Getting stacks as the Buzzwole is going to get you further ahead. You're going to do a lot of damage. It's going to be very hard to beat in secures. You also badly want level 5. And the easiest way to get level 5 is with a stack and securing 4 farm. So if you can get level 5 from securing 4 farm and the stack, you're juiced up. And for the first bees, you're just going to snowball. It takes the game from there. Once again, just with the Mewtwo, it's understanding what targets do I want to go for? What do I want to play for in the game? And, you know, pushing the speed of what Pokemon Unite is really about. All right, so now that we talked about the dirty B word, well, the B all-rounder, there's a B defender, Blastoise. These Pokemon are so cringe, you know, I really dislike it. I do think the top meta right now is, I don't mind Buzzwole. I really might have a problem with Blastoise. I don't think Blastoise deserves to be a top lane character, but nonetheless, it's here. If you're looking at a top 3 in any list, you're probably going to hear comments out the Blastoise. It is a very oppressive Pokemon. We're talking about a Pokemon that really, like, it wants to play a little bit safer in the lane. So when we talk about Blastoise like, dominating a game, I personally like to use Surf and Push. I think that they have a more effective moveset and they like offer this defensive-minded like business. If I want to play aggressive, I play the Buzzwole or a Leafeon or like another aggressive Pokemon, right? But if I want to play like, you know, this sort of stalwart lane holder, I'm not looking to deal damage. I'm looking to defend the team. I'm looking to sort of offer CC and flanks and whatnot. That's when I play Blastoise. And I think it's a very easy Pokemon for anyone to learn. Has a lot of pressure in the lane, has a lot of ability to actually like hurt and disrupt the attackers. So unlike Buzzwole, it actually has a probably easier job dealing with them than that. It's just pretty dynamic. You surf in, you push them into the wall, lots of chain stuns. It can be very oppressive. It can be very quick and fast in the game. It can really quickly snowball a fight with the Unite move. You need to be wary of like, you know, getting hit by a 5-man Blastoise Unite move. And if you're playing as the Blastoise, you got to be setting up for this opportunity. You can very easily set up the game to get yourself one of these Unites. So yeah, once again, going to the lane, you can contest the middle one. I wouldn't recommend stacking, like realistically, even if you're going to spin build. It's nice, but there's better things to do. Get these farm. Make sure you get your level 5 before if you can. 5+ before 9 minute, 850 is genius. If you can't get that, that's okay. It's not the end of the world because the main thing you're trying to do is play these team fights. Look at the characters you're diving and look at the characters you're defending. Think about your team. Oh, okay, they have 4 speedsters. I'm going to sit on my backline. I'm going to let the game come to me. If I'm like, you know, against all these like long range characters, that's when we swap up the game plan and, you know, we're like, okay, let's go dive them. Let's go look for these flanks. Let's go look for the action. 2 gameplays, styles, all achievable in the same Pokemon. Very strong, very easy to play. Strong laner, you're not going to really lose. That's the main thing out Suluwu. Like, I think it's one of the best Pokemon on the patch. And now, I guess coming in third, this Pokemon got a buff. I can't believe it. I don't know if you guys, like, you let me know what you think about the patch in the comment sections, but, like, this is ridiculous. We're really buffing Leafeon? Like, development company, please, don't do this. Yeah, the Leafeon buffs are outrageous. I can't believe we're giving it damage reduction considering how strong a Pokemon it is. This is like the Blastoise and Buzzwole, but if you want to go pure offense and pure attack, there's other options in top lane, but I think Leafeon really takes the cake as a Pokemon that punishes and pushes the game and pushes the lead. You get ahead, you have a Solar Blade, you start smacking them down, they're whittled away, you can dive the backline. You can't really play defense on the Leafeon, that's a little bit of the given. But it's okay because you have so much dive and so much ability to take out high damage dealers within seconds that you sort of make up for that concept. And you also have an amazing secure in the Solar Blade. So I think this is all around just a genius Pokemon, so powerful, so strong. definitely something to think about when you're looking at, like, what do you want to play in a game? Are you looking for the tanky option? Well, the Blastoise is there. Or are you looking for, like, the more medium all-rounder? But Buzzwole is there. And if you're looking for, like, the speedster, like, sort of push the pace, like, run around and smack people, then Leafeon's there. Unironically, this has been the trifecta for the last several patches. It is very disappointing to me that they stay the same, but it is what it is. And I don't want to offer you guys bad advice. I'm going to try to give you the best of all worlds. Zacian is, I guess, a worthy note. It can be good against the Mewtwo, and it can generally be like one of the better Pokemon in the game. But I feel like if you're trying to get into the competitive aspect, don't play these EX Pokemon. They're just rubbish. I feel like they teach you a lot of bad habits, and like most of the time, look, don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. All right, so now that we got the top laners out of the way, I guess like we can talk a little bit about support. Now, so when we look at supporters, let's just say you're playing support for solo queue. It's going to be an interesting way. You need to go into the top lane. That's your ideal of practice. Because most supporters who are playing support in solo queue are either practicing or, they just really enjoy the support Pokemon. Now, if you really enjoy the support Pokemon, well, then number one in the game, I mean, like, it's so obvious now. Clefable has just basically beaten out all the other Pokemon. Clefable is a nightmare. The Unite move is insane. The healing is insane. Gravity is insane. Follow Me is insane. The only bad thing about this Pokemon is if you don't click healing and you get Drain Kiss or whatever, and that sucks. Okay, yeah, you kind of brick the game then. But if you don't get that, it's actually a super good game for you, and you're really happy the whole way throughout. I think one of the most oppressive Pokemon in the game, you have to play it. It's so easy. Now, when we look at the Clefable's gameplay, of course, you're being there as a support. Your idea is to, like, if you can get stacks, that's good. You're really happy if you get stacks. But if you don't get stacks, it's not the end of the world. Prioritize getting your levels. Help your carry get levels. If you're there with the XP share, it's a no-brainer. Try to stay near them unless you're denying farm or unless you're trying to get a score. Explaining this concept really quickly, a denying farm aspect is like, let's just say you have a Buzz and he runs up the score. You're going to go and try to deny these little Bunnelbees. It's very common. Most of you are already doing that. Now, the other way is like, okay, we both want to score. I go up here and I lower them for the guy, or maybe I take them to get my stacks in. That'll be the two type of gameplay approaches. It's super easy, super simple. We get our levels and we're G. So when we get out of lane phase, how do we play this Clefable? It is pretty simple. It's not actually like rocket science. The main thing you want to be thinking about when you get out of the lane phase as the Clefable is thinking about who am I healing, who do I have to deny with gravity, or who am I having to stun with follow me? And like, be proactive with your healing. Try to stay in a ball. Try to show your teammates that you're moving with them. Don't stand still when you're healing people. Move in circles because you're going to dodge skill shots. Supports have to stop getting hit by random abilities. Like you guys, you're like the lifebloods of the team. And if you just get hit by everything in the game, you are going to die and your team's going to lose. You're not there to face check. As much as I love the supports face checking, look, I know it's not your job. It's the tank's job. It's all-rounder's job. You need to come in after to give them the heals. If you face check, get one shot, you're going to lose the game, or you should lose the game. Sometimes you don't lose the game because the enemy team sucks or your team, is just better, but that should sort of work. Like, be proactive with saving your life and save the other's life, because the longer you're alive, the longer your team will live. Pretty simple for me. Okay, now I think I have a bit of a sleeper pick here. I really like Eldegoss recently. I think that the amount of pressure you get to put as Eldegoss smacking down, it's like Hoopa. It's not exactly like Hoopa, but I would say like in solo queue and these kind of game modes, you're going to get a lot of value from Eldegoss. Do not sleep in this Pokemon. It's still very powerful. It's still able to have a good impact on the map, and it's very fast. Like being so annoying, having good auto attacks, it slows every second auto attack. Very nice. A lot of damage. You can put a lot of pressure in the game with the Eldegoss, and it's all about like applying in the right way. So a little bit different. You're never stacking as Eldegoss. So when we look at Eldegoss, it's all about running up here and then checking for vision and then smacking whoever crosses this line. If they cross this red line that I've just drawn this map, it means that they're going to start getting like thrashed. You start pressing them to Narnia. They should never be able to walk across. It's like a demilitarized zone. The moment they cross the demilitarized zone, you just pew, 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 pew. The euphemism's enough, right? Like, yeah, it should be that simple. Go for the contests if you can, but focus on chipping away the enemy and actually causing like a pressure, because they should feel like they have to turn away or they have to attack you. And if they want to attack you, you need to. And if your guy helps you, more of the time, you're going to win. So that's pretty simple. I feel like Eldegoss is probably one of the characters with a little bit more of a written script. You do have this Unite move. Be careful how you use it. You can push allies and enemies away. Well, mainly the enemies. You can push them away and out of abilities and stuff. Use it as a defensive tool. It's also really good for diving with a friend. get your friend to dive, and then you come in and smack them down. And it's just as simple as like, if you're playing solo queue, you see the dive going on, you come up in the air and try to land on the edge. Push them a little bit away from the targets. So that's another way. You could even use it to like push the enemy team into your team, but that's like a more advanced trick. And of course, as third as always, you gotta play Hoopa. If you're playing in these solo queue settings, you need to try Hoopa. It is still one of the best Pokemon in the game. It is still incredibly powerful and just teaches you good habits. You want to rotate, you use the Hoopa portals, stay near the pads. It's all the same logical gameplay. Hoopa's got one of the nastiest, if not the nastiest lane phase in the game. We have a stun, we have a secure. It's pretty easy. Get the health low, stun the enemy, secure with your other secure ability, and your G. It is really annoying to play against this Pokemon. The enemy should feel the pressure. Unlike Eldegoss, where you're sort of waiting for them for this line, you could do that, or you could even press up. What can they do to you? You are Hoopa. You are a menace of the jungle. Well, actually, of the top lane in this case. Just keep putting the pressure on, auto-attacking whoever you see, be annoying, be a nuisance. You even have invade options. I'm going to make a video talking about a little bit more about invades and like, how they work with characters like this. But it is one of the most annoying invaders in the game. Definitely have to watch out. The stun, a secure combination is something that can ruin a lot of enemy teams and a lot of teams. So, all right, there we go. We got 3 supports, no EX supports, so I'm glad. And now let's talk about the central area. This is probably the most dynamic area in the game. But of course, sadly, it's ruined by all the EX Pokemon. Boom. I don't know. I don't want to give you guys a guide. This Pokemon is atrociously mean. I actually don't even have a positive win rate because I spend the majority of the Pokemon time when I play this Pokemon, I spend the game just running in a circle. Because there's like, honestly, it just feels obnoxious to play. I run around, one-shot people, and then I feel like, he tried his best. Like, it's not his fault that I got like 5,000 damage in a beam. Like, Miraidon is the best central player Pokemon if you want to spam, I guess. There we go. I'm not going to explain much more about it. Just, click the R button 3 times in a row and hit someone with it and you're good. Actually, so sad. So I guess if we're talking about the cringe Pokemon right now, another Pokemon to come to mind is probably Glaceon. This can fit into the attacker. This can fit into the central. Mainly you'll see in the central area. Glaceon is probably the easiest central player Pokemon that has the highest impact in the game. Icicle Spears. I don't even remember what the other Ice Shard. It's just so annoying. It's just, do blue buff first, clear in the C pattern, gank top lane early, whoever's there, kill them quickly, and then you want to go back into the jungle, refresh the pattern, and then you're going to get to fight for the bees. This is probably the pivotal point for you. If you didn't kill anyone top lane or didn't get any scores or anything, what's going to happen is you're going to look to kill them. If you get level 8, go press the lane. You can even ulti if you want. At this point in the game, it's time for you to take over. Once you hit level 8 and 9 and whatnot as Glaceon, you can start 100 to 0ing people with spears. It's pretty simple. Auto-attack them until you have the 8 spears. Activate 8 spears. Activate Ice Shard during the end of the spears, and 2 extra spears will fly out, and it'll be 10 spears, and they will die. Pokemon's broken. What can I say? Yeah, so that's pretty much a Glaceon tutorial. Now, talking about other central area Pokemon that have like a huge impact in the game, it's fair to say, and you guys probably been seeing it a lot, it's the Meowscarada. Now, Meowscarada, it has not been updated on this map site. Very depressing, but speaking of the speedster, we're just going to use a Leafeon as an example. The Meowscarada does similar clear, just to see clear again, and then you gank into the top lane. Now, your level 5 isn't the greatest, so you need to keep that in consideration. Hey, look, I'm not going to be able to put a lot of pressure right away. Your level 6, your level 7, they're excellent levels, so you need to play around them. Try to get out of this. If you can get any kills, it's good. If you can get ahead, it's good. You can gank bot lane as well. This is very much an option. Just look at where their bot lane is playing. If their bot lane is playing up onto your pad like this, and you're on the red side, or if they're playing up onto your pad like this, if you're on the blue side, go look, give them a gank. They deserve to die for, standing in a very silly position. So basically, like, if once they've crossed those little pillars, come to that lane. Otherwise, top lane is a safe and easy bet. You generally have like a stronger lane up there. If you don't have a stronger lane top, just go bot lane anyway. Just go wherever you have the strongest lane because you want to hit level 5 in a half-ish, clear the jungle again, and then you're going to have level 7 for 8 minutes. At 8 minutes, you're going to grab the flower bomb, the clones, you're going to jump into them, double auto attack, boom. You can jump the other build, you can jump around and whatever build you decide to go, it is a very strong Pokemon, has a lot of pacing and tempo. Make sure you hit the level 8, make sure you hit the level 7, make sure you're actually being involved in the game, and no silly deaths. You get a lot of life stealing from your Unite move and the passive, so think about it like this. Your passive activates and you still have Unite move time. You're going to get full health bar if you start hitting them, and it's going to be very nice for you. So just straight up winning, Meowscarada is very good right now. And speaking about a third jungler that we like in the meta right now, there's quite a lot of Pokemon honestly up for grabs. Like we can go from ranged options to melee options. But I think in this case, because I've already highlighted Glaceon, which is probably the best ranged option, I actually really want to talk about Blaziken. I think Blaziken is extremely underrated as a central area Pokemon, and something that I saw particularly in the ACL finals by I Am Topo playing the Blaziken in the jungle. Topo, probably one of the best players in the world in terms of mechanics, just looks so clean on this Pokemon, able to put so much pressure simultaneously in the match. So when I think about like this Pokemon being active, it's the same thing as Meowscarada in a different way. You have a strong level 5, so your level 5 is a bit more impactful than Meowscarada's. If we go grab the Blaziken, we're going to run up to here, and then mainly what's going to happen is that you're going to try to push the bees in a certain direction, usually backwards or maybe even forwards into one of these pillars to stun them. That's a pretty easy thing to think about when you're playing Blaziken. And from there, you're going to start the snowball, because you don't actually activate until level 8. So get out of this lane as fast as you can. If you can kill them, it's really good. If you can't, that's okay. You're going to go take the pad if you can. If you can't get your scores, that's okay. Make sure to retreat back into the jungle, get level 7 before leaving the jungle. You really want level 7. Walk over here, overheat the bees with the big fire punch. Boom. We should hit level 8. If you don't hit level 8, remember, prioritize level 8. When you're level 8, the whole game opens to you. It's like you're playing a fighting game and you only have access to like the basic punch. Like, don't play like that. I know it seems fun, running around this chicken level 7. It is a terrible idea. Please get level 8. When you get level 8, you can run around, and now you're Hadouken, punch, spin. The combos on this Pokemon are obnoxious. It is really hard to 1v1. You can completely take over the dead lane. Now, I'll give you an example. If you don't know what a dead lane is, so let's just say that there's like 2 to 3 players here, and then on the same as enemy team. They're all like sort of skirmishing around here. The dead lane is the one with like 1 to like 2. That is like sort of controlled by the enemy team in the sense that no one, like the squishies, can't really walk up there for free. You can take control of the dead lane, you can threaten scores, you can threaten the game, because you have that advantage of having so many abilities at your disposal. You have a lot of movement, you have a lot of damage, and of course you are decently survivable with the lifesteal. So, Blaziken, a lot of options. It is incredibly strong. You have a great secure and overheat. You have so much mobility, and actually like long range damage. Aura Sphere goes like 2 universes wide. So, don't feel afraid of playing this Pokemon. It is one of the funnest Pokemon to play in the jungle. You want to hard carry a game and want to play melee, Blaziken is definitely an option. Okay, so now that we've gone over our free central area Pokemon, let's talk about attackers. Woo! I mean, it's regrettable. I guess if we can add Miraidon, Mewtwo, these are definitely the best in roles, I'd say. Like, if you could play them, they would be very good. But, I mean, what happens next is Inteleon. This Pokemon is overwhelmingly overpowered right now. Now, if you haven't noticed Inteleon being one of the best Pokemon in the game for a very long time, well, then you've been sleeping at the wheel. I feel very sorry for you because you've been leaving free wins on the table. So, Inteleon is basically this game's version of the American Sniper. You play the game from 7 million miles away. You can pretty much hit to this range from here. So, like, you have control from half of the lane from behind your pad. So, when you stand up here, you have control of their side of the lane, which is really depressing. If you're playing against Inteleon, one snipe landed can pretty much end your life. It is one of the best Pokemon in the game for this reason. You have an immense ability to capitalize on like bad movement for an enemy. If the enemy are not hiding, if the enemy are not making plays, if they're just sitting there on a pad, chip away at them, take your range, take your time. If your team doesn't need to go in, you can just burn all of their utility and then eventually slowly force your way into the pad. It is an incredibly overpowered Pokemon. Talking about the lane phase, I'm just going to use the Bundle Bees instead of the Audinos. Number one thing is maybe you want to fast clear, you can ignore these, and then you can go right away to the Audino. Do the Audino, maybe clear your side if you're like sort of like even. clear their side if they have no chance. If you can clear all the farm from their side as well, the game is very in your favor. Remember, this is going to spawn at 9:15. Don't int for that. Like, don't suicide before 9:15. Also, don't suicide at 9:15. It's never worth it. You're going to go for the bees. You have water guns still. It has been nerfed. It doesn't just one-shot them anymore. Take your time. You're still really strong. When you get the sniper shot, the game changes for you. Start playing like the American sniper. The game is super strong. You have a great time. I mean, Intellion's just that easy. The Unite move, auto attacks, everything. You have pretty much everything an attacker wants, all bundled into one kit. The one thing you would be missing is maybe a little bit of like lifesteal sustainability. But if they added that, the game would be unplayable. So, talking about other attackers that are really good right now, Pikachu. This Pokemon, they like, look, I like that they're standing up for their main franchise Pokemon because this Pokemon has been climbing in ability for a while. Like, little buffs here and there, the meta sort of shifting in its favor. Pikachu is actually kind of good. And I like it in the off lanes, even in games, because it can be so frustrating to play against. It is one of the best turnaround Pokemons. It has a much upgraded need of its secure now, and actually like having execute for these speedsters, so good. It's a big speedster counter, and as you can tell, the speedsters and these bulky ones, they're sort of around in the game. Like, they're here, they're the big counters to what is in the meta, and what happens is when they're the counters to the meta, Pikachu becomes even more meta because it counters to the meta. I know, Inception, but yeah, Pikachu, really good. It's a little bit like the lane phase. It has a bit of a weaker lane phase than something like Inteleon. So if we go back and we grab a Pikachu from the attacker pool, once again, contest this. Hit level 4. I like Electro Ball moveset. I think it's very good. If you like Thunder, it's more of the same. It's just like AoE long range damage. Just put down the Thunders, stay away, keep your distance, keep calm. When it's time for them to engage into you, drop the Unite moves, drop a stun, and the game becomes super easy. It's very hard to punish Pikachu. Yeah, so the lane phase goes pretty even. Pikachu is a Pokemon that needs to get ahead and stay ahead. It's not a super hyper carry. It's not a hyper stay. Like, it doesn't have the mobility to be a hyper carry because it can't get out of the way of a dive. And it doesn't have the damage to immediately threaten like this Inteleon. So when you think about Pikachu, think about you're like a supplementary carry. You're like there to be in the early game, and that means you need to smack them hard. So yes, take all the lane farm, continually press, like look into the jungle, look to use cheeky Unite moves, shut them down into the lanes, walk aggressively, look to take these pads. Like, you can do a lot with Pikachu in the early game because it's hard to match the tempo, especially once you get the ball rolling. So don't be afraid to just start going and getting things done as Pikachu. Very, very much one of the fastest Pokemon in the game. If you're playing it well, you can be playing on the defensive end. Punish the greediness of attackers. Punish the greediness of other squishy Pokemon that walk into Pikachu. Pikachu excels when people don't understand how much CC and ability nuisance it is. It is a nuisance. Hate this yellow rat. So, talking about Pikachu, now that we got that done, well, what other Pokemons are really classifying here? I've seen a lot of Espeon, a lot of Sylveon. Speaking of all those Pokemon, I guess one I like to mention for the bot lane is Mew. Mew's still very good. It's still a strong Pokemon, especially with double bans and like, I guess talking more about the draft and stuff. It's super versatile. It avoids its dive. It has long range poke. The only thing Mew really struggles with is levels. And it can be hard to get levels in solo queue. But this is just something you have to practice. You have to remember, my farm is more important than a kill nearly 95% of the time. So once you start remembering how to farm and how to get ahead in the game by taking down the neutral Pokemon, you're going to get further and further ahead. I'm going to be dropping a farming guide sometime. So, of course, you're going to want to watch that to just remember how to get like level 15, like CrisHeroes every game. It's definitely possible. There's room for 2 players to hit level 15 in your team if you're playing the game correctly. Someone does have to stay level 12 for that to happen. But if you're actually like winning hard, you can easily hit like 13 every game. And even if you're losing, you can hit like 12, 13 on like all your characters pretty much. So it's just about a matter of mindset. So Mew, you probably have the best laning phase outside of Inteleon. It's pretty simple, like outside of the tanks, thinking about the tank matchup. Get for this, it's the same thing pretty much for every Pokemon. Maybe you have to skip this as Mew as well, but yeah, get this farm. Now you can put a lot of pressure with Light Screen E-Ball. You can definitely go there. You can't stop caps as Mew. That's something very important to think about. If you can't stop caps, that means just don't bother defending them. Make sure you focus on farming. Get the support of your tank or whoever else is in the lane, and just secure these creatures because you have Electro Ball. It's a little bit worse than Pikachu's now, but you get it level 3, and Pikachu gets his level 4. So Think about it like that. You're apparently better Pikachu earlier. I think Mew is a very strong character, has a lot of ability to actually put long-range DPS in the game and actually like have a lot of survivability. Like something Pikachu didn't have, right? It's like you have this Unite move that deters them. Muse is like, I have like that Unite move and I go invisible and now I smack you and then I do exactly the same amount of damage. I think it's a bit absurd, but that's just me. Okay, now that we've done attackers, we've been speeding through this. Let's talk about the tanks. The tank Pokemon. Ooh, my, oh my. Well, number one has to be probably Umbreon still. I mean, who would have guessed in a solo game where you can't talk to your team, trapping someone in a box is a very good indication of a kill. The lane phase, it plays a bit harder than other Pokemon because you start as off as an Eevee. Try to get your level 4. If that means you have to stack or get a score, or if that means you have to secure a bunny or 2, that's just what you have to do. Don't die in the lane. Very punishing to die. If you're not level 4 by, I would say, maybe like 8 minutes 30, you've done something wrong. You need to be level 4. You cannot get shut down in this Pokemon because when you hit level 4 and you get Mean Look, it's time to just put the Circle of Death on them. If your team have any intelligence, they're going to spam everything in the Circle of Death and a guy will die. It is very frustrating to play against. It is very powerful. Please use the Circle of Death. Foul play is good if there is no one to Circle of Death. If no one ever comes into your team, like let's just say there are 5 attackers from a long range and they're like playing super far away and you think that they're going to play that way, yeah, don't run the Circle of Death. But if they're running a little bit into you, run the Circle of Death. Whoever's running in is going to be instantly one shot. And it's just going to let you're like an army. You march forward and Circle of Death and march forward and Circle of Death. It's just, you're the Death Merchant. It's very broken. I think this is one of the most annoying things to play against. And most players don't understand, all the ways to work around it. If you're going to play the Umbreon, circle, move on. Circle, move on. There's ways to use the circle. If they're running into you, circle them. If they're running away from you, circle them. If you want to leave them alone and don't want them to play the game, circle them and run away. Circle them and run into their team. You can drop an ulti and everything. They will look at to play for the next 3 seconds. There's a lot of ways to use Umbreon. Definitely very broken. There's a conversation of Wish and Snarl. Wish is very good if they have a lot of damage. If they have a lot of damage, just grab the Wish. I used to think it was unrunnable, but I changed my mind on it because the damage reduction on Wish is absolutely ludicrous. I think it's way too strong. I think it has too much ability to do different things. And when you look at that, it's just going to be able to be too much of a nuisance in the game. When you look at Snarl, yes, it's really good when they're coming into you, but like, Wish pretty much like allows you to support one player even further. And even if you're playing the tank role, it's like you're a semi-support. So you get to get the best of both worlds. So Umbreon wins the tank category for sure. I guess a second is Crustle. This Pokemon has risen in fame recently. It is so hard to play against. It's the same reason Umbreon is hard to play against. A wall that is very hard to avoid. And of course, unlike Umbreon's wall, you can eject over this one. But the thing is, the range of it is like triple to quadruple Umbreon's. So like it becomes a lot more problematic when you walk into these tight chokes. Like if we look at this area, These are tight chokes that a lot of fights happen in. And Crustle shuts these down completely. He can completely trap a team in here in any direction, either a wall from this way, a wall from this way, a wall from this way. Well, like if Crustle gets any measure of a good wall onto 3+ people, the game usually ends. Broken Pokemon. X-Scissor is definitely overpowered. I'm glad it got nerfed. To be honest, I'm actually really glad it got nerfed. I think it is one of the strongest abilities in the game in terms of pushing people and annoying them. The damage had to be tuned because if you could just get one shot as a squishy to a tank by that, we're talking about a bad precedent. A tank should not be able to one-shot squishies. They should be able to annoy them if they have level leads and stuff, but they don't have level leads. Level 9 Crustle should not walk up to level 11 Glaceon or level 11 Delphox and just one-hit him. It does not make any sense to me. It's pure troll. There you go. You have an amazing Unite move with Crustle. Like, the ability to rock up and get all the shield and also deal AoE damage based on who's hurting you. It's just too good to ignore. Crustle is definitely a premier defender in the meta right now. And that and Umbreon sort of like weigh in their power bit by bit. So, after Crustle, where do we go from here? Well, obviously it's Trevenant. We've seen a lot of Trevenant rise. There's been a lot of Curse gameplay. It is very frustrating to play against Curse Leech Life. Woodhammer is still good. Like, Trevenant is still very flexible, very powerful. Crustle probably had the more susceptible early game. Trevenant is very sneaky. It looks like it's not that powerful, but you actually have a lot of auto attack power and you have a lot of damage with Will-O-Wisp. It's just about the range. The range sort of sucks, and you do get out-secured by other tanks, notably Snorlax, notably Slowbro. These are the kind of characters that kind of beat you in the lane a little bit. But honestly, it's not too bad, because once you hit level 5, you're 10 times their strength. You either get the overpowered curse now, which has been massively buffed. It's very easy to use, very strong. Or you're going to get Wood Hammer, which has always just been one of the most obnoxious moves in the game. The ability to group enemies up and then give them a stun on a 3-second cooldown is crazy. Let's never allow that again. I think it's way too strong. Now, of course, this Pokemon, it's excelling at team fights. Like, if you're looking to actually, engage, you're not really the greatest defender, as in terms of helping your team. You can help them a bit, you can annoy the enemy, but it's way better if you went in onto the enemy. And you're going to see a lot of the gameplay when Trevenant's really annoying is that when it goes into the enemy and disrupts 4 to 5 players at once, that's going to be the game over. It's going to be a lot more annoying than the Umbreon, sort of, as I was saying, just trapping one person. This is like the 5-person trap that really came from hell. It can be very hard to play against Trevenant, and for that reason, it is the 3rd best solo queue tank in my region. So, guys, I hope you like my reasoning. I've given you quite a lot to think about. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And as always, spam the like button in the video, sub to the channel, and let me know what you guys are thinking. And if you're glad I'm back, I'm going to be trying to do more videos. We're going to see how it goes. Of course, going to London is going to be fun as hell, and I can't wait for all you guys' support. So, of course, round of applause. Thank you all for supporting me for so long. We've been, getting active views and stuff, so I've been very happy about that. So, thank you, everyone, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Cheers. Peace.